Egypt has long been the cultural and informational center of the Arab world, and Cairo is the region's largest publishing and broadcasting center. Telecommunication in Egypt. Press Egypt has long been the cultural and informational center of the Arab world, and Cairo is the region's largest publishing and broadcasting center. There are 8 daily newspapers with a total circulation of more than 2 million, and a number of monthly newspapers, magazines, and journals. The majority of political parties have their own newspapers, and these papers conduct a lively, often highly partisan, debate on public issues. Mail Egypt Post is the government-owned body that provide postal services. Mail post is never considered as a reliable communication mean in Egypt. Radio. See also Egyptian Radio and Television Union and list of FM radio stations in Egypt. Radio in Egypt is almost all government-controlled, using 44 shortwave frequencies, 18 medium-wave stations, and 4 FM stations. There are 7 regional radio stations covering the country. Egyptian Radio transmits 60 hours daily overseas in 33 languages and 300 hours daily within Egypt. In 2000, Radio Cairo introduced new specialized channels on its FM station. So far, they include news, music, and sports. Radio enjoys more freedom than TV in its news programs, talk shows and analysis. Starting 2003, Dahl Radio Production, a private company, was given license to operate 2 radio stations, Nile FM and Nogum FM. Nile FM broadcasts in English and Nogum FM broadcasts in Arabic. Both stations mostly broadcast mainly to the Greater Cairo region. In the early 2009, Radio Masr was launched, broadcasting popular Egyptian songs, news and other programs. Television. See also Egyptian television. Egyptian ground broadcast television is government-controlled and depends heavily on commercial revenue. ETV sells its specially produced programs and soap operas to the entire Arab world. ETV has 2 main channels, 6 regional channels, and 3 satellite channels. Of the 2 main channels, Channel I uses mainly Arabic, while Channel 2 is dedicated to foreigners and more cultured viewers, broadcasting news in English and French as well as Arabic. Egyptian satellite channels broadcast to the Middle East, Europe, and the U.S. East Coast. In April 1998, Egypt launched its own satellite known as Nilesat 101. 7 specialized channels cover news, culture, sports, education, entertainment, health, and drama. A second, digital satellite, Nilesat 102, was launched in August 2000. Many of its channels are rented to other stations. 3 new private satellite-based TV stations were launched in November 2001, marking a great change in Egyptian government policy. Dream TV 1 and 2 produce cultural programming, broadcast contemporary video clips and films featuring Arab and international actors, as well as soap operas. Another private station focuses on business and general news. Both private channels transmit on Nilesat. In addition to Egyptian programming, the Middle East Broadcast Company, a Saudi television station transmitting from London, Arab Radio and Television, Al Jazeera Television, and other Gulf stations as well as Western networks such as CNN and BBC, provide access to more international programs to Egyptians who own satellite receivers. Landline telephony. Currently, there is a single company in charge of landline telephony, Telecom Egypt, which is also government-controlled. The government is planning to start the process for licensing a second national operator for voice and transport services by 2008, with a view to this company starting operations in 2009. Cellular communications. Currently, there are 3 companies which offer cellular communication service: Mobinil, Vodafone Egypt and Etisalat Egypt. These companies are providing services surpassing voice communication such as 3G and 3.75G services. Internet. The Internet companies market as Delta 2. Infrastructure providers and service providers. Raya, Nile-Online, Tedata, Eginet, Link.net, Etisalat. Egypt. There are 8 major service provider companies which sell their services to smaller ISPs. The highest available speed through ADSL technologies was upgraded to 8 megabits in download in February 2008 and then to 24 megabits later that year. The Egyptian ISP market is fully liberalized and highly competitive, at least in Cairo and Alexandria, with over 220 ISPs offering a range of services, including dedicated, dial-up, prepaid and premium services. With the introduction of ADSL for homes and businesses, more subscribers are introduced into the market. It is expected that by the end of 2010 high-speed internet access will be available across the entire country. Orascom, one of the shareholders in the leading cellular operator Mobineal, is also the biggest player in the internet service provision market and owns 75% of one of Egypt's largest ISP, Link.net. The tie-up with the mobile operator is significant in that WAP services were introduced in May for a trial period, making Egypt one of the first countries in Africa to have introduced WAP. Nile-Online and Eginet has been recently sold to Etisalat, increasing Etisalat access into the broadband market. With this acquisition, all Class 1 tier ISPs mentioned above are owned by the major telecommunication companies operating in the country. Raya is owned by Vodafone Egypt. Nile-Online and Eginet are now owned by Etisalat. Tedata is owned and operated by the oldest telecom company in the region, Telecom Egypt, and Link.net is owned by Orascom Telecom. On January 27, 2011, almost all internet connectivity to Egypt was shut off by the Egyptian government. Wireless Internet Egypt is following closely the efforts to standardize WiMAX technologies as they permit simpler and faster access to internet services, especially as WiMAX receivers are integrated into PC processors. The government is still also holding discussions with relevant stakeholders to determine the best policy framework for introducing WiMAX into the market through existing or new operators. Communication companies in Egypt. Landline telephony service Telecom Egypt. Cellular communication service Mobineal. Vodafone Egypt. Etisalat Egypt. Statistics. Telephones main lines in use. 10.808 million telephones. Mobile cellular. 30.047 million. Telephone system. Large system, underwent extensive upgrading during the 1990s and is reasonably modern. Telecom Egypt. The landline monopoly has been increasing service availability, and in 2006 fixed line density stood at 14 per 100 persons. As of 2007 there were 3 mobile cellular networks and service is expanding rapidly. Domestic principal centers at Alexandria, Cairo, Al-Mansoura, Ismailia, Suez, and Tanta are connected by coaxial cable and microwave radio relay. International landing point for both the CMEW 3 and CMEW 4 submarine cable networks, linked to the International Submarine Cable Flag, satellite Earth stations 2 Intelsat, 1 Arabsat, and 1 Inmarsat, tropospheric scatter to Sudan, microwave radio relay to Israel, a participant in Medrabtel radio broadcast stations M42, FM14, shortwave 3 radios, 3.07 million television broadcast stations, 98 internet service providers, 220 internet hosts, 5,363 people connected to the internet, 12,568,900 country codes, e.g. telephone prefixes, country code, +20 mobile services, Etisalat, 011, Mobineal, 012, Vodafone, 010.